Of WeAreChange.org, and I'm here with my good friend Joe Martino of CollectiveEvolution.com, a great website that gets a lot of hits, but also does a lot of amazing work, especially in the conscious kind of spiritual world. I don't know how to describe it, Joe. How would you describe Collective Evolution?
Collective Evolution is basically like an alternative media outlet that also brings in the personal development side. You can call it spirituality. You can call it exploring oneself, one's emotions, who we are at the core, why we're here, all these sorts of things. So we'll cover anything from alternative health to alternative news, the latest, greatest on what's happening out there, as well as give you a kick on how to explore yourself, really find out more about who you are.
I love the website. I love everything you guys are doing. It's very in touch with just everything the mainstream media doesn't want you to really see and believe in yourself. And I think that's why you guys have a very important role, and I'm very happy to see you guys are very active. I know we've been kind of collaborating a little bit on vlogs and different videos, but you had an interesting incident at the airport today. What happened?
Basically, we were going across customs. So we're coming in from Canada, landed in LaGuardia, going to customs. First asked my girlfriend we were traveling with, and he was saying, "Oh, well, why are you here? Like, what are you doing?" And she was explaining that she was coming and watch me do a talk, and he was all like, "Oh, what's to talk about?" He's prying all this stuff, right? And she said, stuff about change, change in the world, this, that, whatever. And he was like, change in the world, eh? Like, he was like shocked that like people even talk about that kind of stuff. He had like this very pessimistic view towards it. And then later on he asked me, so what do you do? What does your website do? And I was like, alternative news, alternative health, this sort of stuff. And he's just like, I don't know, man. Like, the world's not changing. He's like, people, they don't change. And I was like, well, I think I like to have a lot more of an optimistic view. I think things are going somewhere. And he was just very like, just give it up. Like, he's very not having it.
He is an agent of Homeland Security. I mean, I think those people don't have a lot of hope and a lot of cheeriness within them anyway. But what do you say to the people? Because I get this all the time, especially what I'm trying to do is people coming and saying, well, you can't do anything. You won't accomplish anything. People are just going to be eating their McDonald's and watching their TV and drowning their sorrows in with booze because they're miserable and unhappy people. What do you say to that butthole Homeland Security guy? If he's watching right now, what would you say to him and also the other people who make those arguments?
Well, I mean, the argument that change or that things won't ever change in this world and it's impossible comes up all the time. People are always feeling like there's just no way. Have you seen the way the world is? Have you seen the way human nature is? All these sorts of things. But what I've seen over the 4 years of doing this is that people do change. And even the people who you don't think would ever get across to a point where they're starting to look into things, starting to understand more about themselves and the world, eventually change. They all have an in. They all have a point in their life where something happens, or they see something for the first time, and all of a sudden it's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to start exploring this a little bit more. So I think from one side of it, when you look at the world, is it going to change? I do believe so, and I think a lot of it starts within and realizing and embracing the fact that yes, change can happen. And although it seems impossible, man created all of this. Just as we created this entire system to be the way it is, we have the power to uncreate it and create something new. And I believe that deep down inside, everybody has the desire to make change and to want change. It's just about stop telling yourself the same story over and over and again, that it's impossible and that it never will.
If we created it, we could also change it halfway. And I think most importantly, I think the biggest struggle is personally realizing the true power and strength you have within yourself to actually make significant changes, not only in your life, but the ones in your community. But you've been on this journey for quite a while. What kind of changes have you undergone? Because obviously, a lot has changed. A lot is still changing almost virtually every second. We have the internet. We could talk to the entire world through a little piece of metal that anybody and everybody could watch right now. What kind of personal changes have you gone through with everything? Because a lot of this is very personal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for me, one of the first things that changed was I was in school, really unhappy, really depressed. It was one of those things where I was like, I can't believe this is what life is. I'm going to do something that I don't like, eventually get a career and move on from there, right? And so the first big change was leaving school, deciding to just drop out and just take a path that was calling me, which was doing something that was finally accepting what I wanted to do and not just doing things because everyone else was telling me that that's what I was supposed to do, or the world was saying this is the path that you have to take. So that change in itself created a whole different life path for me, which led to inner exploration and really understanding where my beliefs come from and how my mind works, how my emotions function, learning things that are about yourself that you never really get to explore in school. And these things I think are so important for everybody, especially young people when they're growing up, because that's kind of when the more you understand yourself, the more you understand what really makes you tick and what you really want to do, it allows you to choose paths that are really about your passions. So first big change, leaving school. Second big change, really exploring myself and feeling that. And then when Collective Evolution was created, we went through all that. There was tons of growth that happened through, at first there's a lot of backlash that you receive. So it was really about learning to not get down on yourself and not judge others. That was another big thing, really clearing judgment from your life, these sorts of things, because it's very easy when you put yourself out there. People, especially online,
especially on YouTube, you buttholes. I know all of you. I know all the comments you're saying. I read all of them.
That's it. They're ruthless online. They're absolutely ruthless. And even to this day, we'll have comments on there, on the website, and you're just like, is this for real? Like, are you really saying this right now? And it's just, you just have to detach. And detachment is another key thing, because it's one of those things where the more you have control over your emotions and what's going on, and you understand that it's not really you that's getting upset, but it's just the story that's telling you, hey, you should get upset here. And these types of inner explorations, these understandings within you, I think are so important in living a life that is a lot more peaceful, which I think everybody inside truly wants.
Because the most important thing you have in life is your reaction, and you decide it and you choose it. And I had people on here and online say the most horrific things about friends who passed away, against family members, against girlfriends. I can't tell you the crazy allegations that are made against me, and how low people are actually gonna go to try to hurt you. And even with personal stories of losing someone I really cared about, it definitely builds up not only a tough skin, but then you learn that you always have control of how you're going to react to that. You could be angry, you could respond, you could go after all these allegations. If I do that, I would do nothing else but just waste my time on trolls, and I'm never ever going to do that, because I understand that there's a bigger purpose to everything, and there needs to be a lot done. And even with all this hate and negativity, it's ultimately your energy decides the outcome of it. So it's always a very personal thing. Is there anything else you would want to say to people out there, people watching right now? Is there any message you would want to convey that Collective Evolution is already conveying? So many amazing messages, but is there one particular message that resonates with you that you think is most important?
Yeah, I think right now people are, in a sense, feeling hopeless. To be fair, there is a side that is really, people are starting to realize, hey, you know what? There is a lot changing, a lot of positive stuff happening out there, and things can go places, but at the same time, there's an overwhelming feeling of man, this is a big world. There's a lot that has to change, and it seems like the world's going to a dark place, and sometimes people feel hopeless, but I think there's enough, inner feelings, but as well, and this is becoming important, is there's a lot of science coming out now that is showing that what we think, what we choose to do, what we choose to emanate within ourselves actually has a big effect on our external world. And the more that we choose to believe and embrace the fact that change is possible, and that it's not hopeless, and that we can do this together, and that we can come together and create amazing things, I think that is something that we need to truly embrace and understand, and realize that we are, as you said earlier, a lot more powerful than we are made to think. Because when you look at the mainstream media, when you look at education, when you look at what our lives are every day, it's really one of those things that they try to make you feel small. And maybe that happened completely by design, which I believe, but even if it didn't, the reality is we can be a lot bigger than what we are, and what we believe.
Yeah, and it all starts in believing, and then once you believe, you act on it, and you speak on it, and then you pretty much become it. I'm butchering the quote. There's a famous quote that I have somewhere in the back of my head that is totally butchered right now, but it doesn't matter. I'll put it in the description so you guys know exactly what I'm trying to portray. Joe, you're awesome. Check out collectiveevolution.com. It's in the description, and they're doing really good work.